Highlander Malakai Fekitoa has continued his sudden rise to fame, being named in the 35-man All Blacks training group this afternoon. He joins fellow teammates Liam Coltman and Aaron and Ben Smith as the Highlanders players chosen for the squad. Joining us tonight to talk about their selections is ODT rugby columnist Paul Dwyer. Good evening, Paul.
How are you tonight?
Good, thank you. Now, why do you think the selectors chose Fekitoa?
Well, he's got the biggest thighs in New Zealand rugby. In fact, I think he's got the biggest thighs since Brian Williams. That's possibly the main reason, but he's come down here from Auckland after a very average season for the Blues last year, but had played reasonably well for Auckland in their NPC program. But since he's been down here, he's shown to have real pace. He's explosive, and I think perhaps he could be the new midfield find for the All Blacks. And
Liam Coltman has been chosen as one of 4 hookers. Is that not a surprise, given that he hasn't always been a guaranteed starter for the Highlanders?
Well, he's played most of the games this year. The issue has been the depth of hookers in this country. They lost Andrew Hall last year, retired. They've got Kevin Milamu, and his fitness is not where it probably should be. They've got Dane Coles, and so they brought two new young hookers in Coltman and Nathan Harris from the Chiefs. One of those 2 guys will start in a test match this year.
And the squad, of course, will be trimmed to 31 players before June's test matches. How likely do you think that it will be that those 2 players make the side?
I think that definitely Fekitoa make the side. They've only taken 4 midfielders. They've got Smith and Nonu, and they've got Crotty and Fekitoa, so they'll definitely take 4. Fekitoa, he may not start a test, but he will play in the test this year against England. And Coltman has to step up. He's got to go past. It'll be between him and Nathan Harris. Right now, you'd have to say Coltman would be ahead of Nathan Harris in the pecking order. So I think he will get test match time in June.
And Ben Smith and Aaron Smith as well are automatic selections. But is it surprising that only 4 of our players have been selected? The season's going quite well.
Well, look, we're a step up from last year. For us to get Fekitoa and Coltman, of the 4 new players, uncapped players they've brought in, 2 of them from the Highlanders. So you've got to say we've done pretty well there. The 2 Smiths were always going to get in. They'll probably start test matches here. They're playing particularly well for the Highlanders. You'd have to have a look at the rest of our Highlanders side and say, look, I can't really see another player they could have picked. So I don't think that anybody's been unlucky.
Speaking of the Highlanders, why do you think they've been playing so well this season?
Well, they've got rid of some of the big names. They've brought in Tony Brown as assistant coach. I think that's helped with communication. I've talked to the players a bit this year. They're a very, very happy bunch. But then again, when you're winning, you are a happy bunch. But they're a very happy bunch. They're going well together. They've had no off-season dramas. So that's been good for them. They've concentrated on playing rugby. There was no expectation on them. And they haven't had a lot of injuries as well, which has been key for them. And that's why they're going so well.
They've been known to fade towards the playoffs. What do you think they need to do to ensure that that doesn't happen?
Well, that's about depth normally, and we get to the stage of the season, we've had 7 or 8 injuries, and we haven't got enough depth in the Highlanders to be able to have enough of those good players coming through. Right now, we struggled a bit in the second half against the Lions on Saturday, and that was probably a depth issue. We lost a couple of players. We had 2 or 3 out with injury. I think a few of those players are back this week. We shouldn't fade going into the last few games, even though we've got a tough run in.
Have you got a prediction for the outcome of this year's Super Rugby campaign?
Look, I'd love us to make the playoffs. I don't know if we will. I think the way the Crusaders are going, they'll go in as favourites to make the playoffs. I think they'll be our number 1 side. If the Crusaders go through as the number 1 side, it'll be between, obviously now, the Hurricanes, the Chiefs and the Highlanders for that next spot. Look, I really hope the Highlanders make the playoffs. I don't see them going any further than that. They probably haven't got enough X factor. I see the Crusaders perhaps going all the way.
ODT rugby columnist Paul Dwyer, thanks very much for your time.
No problem.